Welcome to The Pulse, a podcast for members and friends of the Chartered Institute of Ergonomics and Human Factors, to see what is going on around the Institute and gain some insights into the people, processes, meetings and activities that the CIHF delivers. Yes, welcome to The Pulse, everybody. My name is Barry Kirby and I'm the current president, and I'm here with Ben, who's the CEO. Hi, Ben. How are you doing? It's been a quiet couple of weeks, but I dare say there's been still a lot going on in the background.
Yes, it has. Yes, it's been sort of good in some ways because we can get on with a lot of stuff in the background. But yeah, no, I'm keeping very well, and I'll talk a bit more about this as we go through the podcast as to what we've been doing.
Cool. So we set ourselves a challenge last week of being shorter than an hour and 45 minutes. And I think we achieved that, and we've had some really interesting and good feedback about that. So again, we're going to try and keep ourselves paced and time limited with this one to give that punchy input. So for the past 2 weeks, again, actually it's, like I said, it's been fairly quiet, but I had a really good introductory meeting with the Federation of Small Business last week, who the FSB exists to support really small, medium-sized enterprises within the UK, both in terms of as a membership body in of itself, which has some really good benefits for directors and them sort of people, but also it acts like a bit of a trade body in representing small business that way. So my reason for approaching them, I am a member myself, so I'll declare that, and I think they do provide good value, and it sort of struck me that actually most of our members, or a lot of our members, run as loan consultants, so they themselves are a micro business, or maybe they're part of a small business themselves, and may benefit of at least understanding and knowing what the membership of the FSB might be about and what that might bring. And I guess cards on the table, I'd love to see some sort of partnership grow out of that. But in the first instance, we with some tentative steps, we've suggested that maybe having some sort of webinar from the FSB to say what it might involve might be a good idea. So if you're interested in that, if you're a loan consultant or a small business and you think that you might benefit, give me a shout. Comment below where you're seeing this, or drop me a message, and we'll pass that on and see if we can arrange something. Probably September, October time. Ben, what have you been up to? What's been going on with you for the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, before I get into that, I just wanted to say that that's great to hear, Barry. I mean, I think one of the things that we can do as a member body is to sort of help people in things that are, like either soft skills or things that are non-human factors related. I think that's a big part of what member bodies can do, and certainly as we move forward, I hope to see more opportunities like that. So I just want to say thank you to you, and I know you're working with Aris on the team on that, so I think that's a really positive development. In terms of, I'll talk not just about myself, but some of the things some of the team have been doing. I wanted to sort of mention three sort of networking calls that have happened in the last couple of weeks that have been really positive in my mind. So firstly, thanks to sort of Aris, who's had a membership on the staff team, and Julie Avery, who's one of our trustees. Julie is what's called the the associates rep on the council. And the two of them set up a call for associate members that happened recently, and it was a really good call. They talked about membership grades a lot and how to upgrade. And one thing that I've sort of partly challenged with them to do, but also something they're doing as well, is I think we need to build a better understanding of what our associate members want to get out of the organization. So we have some associates like Julie who are almost like champions of human factors. She's I guess sort of later in her career, she has no desire to go down the chartership route, but gets lots of value out of the organization, and that's great. Whereas we've got other associate members who are proactively on the path to becoming technical members or to becoming chartered members. So what we're going to do is to start logging in our CRM, our customer relationship management system, where we know what are the desires of our associate members. And if you're telling us that information, we're also planning to provide more guidance material, more interactive calls that can help you on the path that you're on. But the first step of that is to know the path that you're on. And I say, I almost put the onus on us here, is that at the moment, and I guess this is sort of a user experience piece, is that the point we know that you want to become a technical member or a chartered member is when you submit your logbook to us. And what I want to do is change that to, well, actually, if we find that out when you're starting to do your logbook, then we are better placed to help you on your journey. So I just wanted to mention that. So I thought it was a really exciting call. And one anecdote that Iris shared with me is one member said, at the end of the call, they said, "Thanks for today. It makes me feel less of an HF island." And I think that goes back to your point is we know we've got a lot of sole practitioners, either they could be in-house, but they're a one-person team in-house, or they're a consultant. So that, it gave me a warm and fuzzy feeling, I guess, hearing one of our members say that. So I thought that was a really good call, and we want to do more of those types of calls, giving opportunities for members to engage with each other around topics of interest.
Cool.
And then the other two calls I wanted to mention is the healthcare and the defence group. So the healthcare group had a really good call around what is it they want from the Institute and how it can help them on their journey. And I think one of the core lessons coming out of there is the members who are on that call is they wanted more opportunities to share good practice. So, lots of people are trying to embed human factors, techniques, approaches in different NHS trusts or different parts of the NHS. So I think the message was, well, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's create opportunities for people to share what they're doing that others can either learn from, build on, or even sort of cross-pollinate ideas. Another idea that came out of it was that we should engage with the Royal Colleges more as an institute, and I thought that was a really good idea as well. And another good idea that came out of this is the idea of having a safe space to ask questions without being seen that you don't know what you're doing. And I thought that was a really nice insight as well. So Evie Carmen doing a great job with that group. She's written up some notes and actions, and we're going to sort of go through and prioritize those. So I thought that was really excellent for the healthcare group. And then finally, with the defence group, a slightly different conversation, but again focused on trying to help members get more out of the institute, and their call was focused on chartership. And and I know a lot of our members who work in the defence sector, one of the challenges is they work on classified projects, and how can you build up your logbook and the examples if it's classified material. There are ways around that, and I think that the reality is each person's career is its own sort of unique situation. And I think for those of you who have that concern, the best thing to do is speak to us or to speak to one of the chartered members in that sector who can act as a mentor, and they can help you navigate that pathway. And obviously, I know it's not just defence that has this, so the same message for anyone. So if a barrier for you doing chartership is confidentiality of your project material, there is a way around that. Reach out to us, we can talk to you about it. And the other key learning is that, and we know this, we've talked about this on a previous call, is our chartership is only 9 years old. We're young in the chartership stakes, but what that does mean is we've got quite a few members who are eligible for charter status, of even fellow status, who haven't done it yet. And almost one of the anecdotes we get back is that they almost feel a barrier is going, well, I know I can get this, I'm not sure how to do it. It might take more work than I'm willing to give. And again, I encourage those people, talk to us. If you are experienced in the sector and you haven't done your chartership yet, you can go straight to fellow level. You don't have to sort of go through the steps to get there. Each person is their own unique state. And I think even on the call, someone said, well, look, I've got 22 years of case study stuff, and I struggle to remember the stuff I've done 22 years ago. How do we cope with that? And again, let's have the conversation. Look at the competency checklist, look at what you have got to hand, and then we'll just chart a path, the path of least resistance to get a good logbook in place based on the work that you've done. I just really wanted to shine a light of those. I thought they were all really good calls. And I thought they were valuable in two ways. One, the members on the calls got value out of them, and then we on the staff team got lots of value in terms of where we should focus our efforts to deliver more value to members.
And that's really, really good, because fundamentally, that's what we're all about. Is we are a membership body, and if we're not delivering to members in the way that is the best way for them to engage, then we need to take a good hard look at ourselves, which we clearly have done. And these sort of calls are fantastic. And I would really echo that point around membership is, for me, it's as much about what the organization offers to us as much as what we can offer to the membership, to the organization. And the more brilliant people that we get in on board, the better we become as a professional body. So yes, the more that we can do to get more people involved and included, and we shouldn't, as much as everybody loves paperwork, if it gets in the way of doing what it is that we need to do, then I'm more than happy that we reflect and look on that.
Absolutely.
So in the next few weeks, actually, we've got a decent event coming up, which is the executive committee meeting. Not everybody might get excited about the executive committee meeting, but I do, because it's one that I chair. And I just want to spend a little bit of time, because I think we mentioned it in the past. We talked about it after the last trustee meeting, but I want to spend a little bit of time saying exactly kind of what it does. So it's traditionally made up of 4 elected posts. So the president-elect, past president, the treasurer, and me as president chairing it. And from the staff team, yourself, Ben, as the CEO, and the COO, turns up, Tina. And really, we have delegated authority from the council. And we aim to try and deal with a lot of, I guess, the administrative stuff that we look at what goes into the trustee meeting, into the main council meeting, and also try and make decisions that keeps the business element of the organization going forward. We don't run the business. That's obviously the staff role under Ben, your authority there, but we provide support to you in making sure that can happen. When we're actually doing it, so if you're thinking about putting yourself forward to be either president-elect or one of the other roles, it isn't too arduous. I would say it's still a formal meeting. So, but because it's with fewer people, it does tend to happen. It does tend to go a little bit quicker. So it's only about 2 to 3 hours long, depending on how long I keep talking for, and depending on what's on the agenda. But it does mean we can get stuck into some quite meaty topics and some detail that maybe we wouldn't cover at a council level. So again, that hopefully gives you a bit of a flavour of the sort of commitment that we do, because we do these at least 4 times a year. Sometimes, if there's a reason to call an extraordinary one, then we're quite happy to do that. And given that the small numbers involved, we can be quite flexible about how that happens. This is going to be virtual. For example, we try and do a sort of a half and half of virtual and physical meetings, but it means that we can get on and just get the stuff done. So if anybody's wanting to get involved in executive meetings, then think about that for next year's AGM. Ben, what have you got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so preparing for that meeting is one thing. So I've put together all the sort of the meeting papers for that, and one thing I've been working on and still working on is having a clearer sort of annual action plan. So we've now got a sort of a dashboard that shows all the different sort of projects that we're working on and the progress on those. And in support of that, we have a sort of a measurement dashboard that's taking shape as well. So putting those papers together. Other things that we've got going on. So Tina is working on refreshing our careers guide. And so, one of the things she's doing on that front is putting a section on prospects for future work in EHF, so around things like automation and renewables. I'm also going to add a section for career changes as well. So that idea of, if you have depending on if you want to move from one sector to another, how you can go about doing that. So we're really pleased to be sort of refreshing that. So that's going to be sort of coming out in the coming period. We're starting for our next year's annual conference. So I actually had the first planning meeting for that last week. And the team, I'm not involved, but Tina and Rachel and the committee, which is made up of member volunteers, had their first meeting. So they're starting to put planning in for that event that will take place next April, and it will be our sort of 75th anniversary conference, because next year is the 75th anniversary of the Institute. And some of the themes they're looking at, I'm sure you won't be surprised, sort of AI, climate change, the future of work, and changing demographics. So those are some of the sort of the topic themes that they're looking at next year. And certainly I think the call for papers will be going out later this year. So do start thinking about conference. And then the other things I'm doing is, so I've spoken before, and I think I've written about before on The Economist. We're planning a member survey. I'm a little behind where I wanted to be with that, but I've had some calls over the last couple of weeks with some service providers. So we're going to use a survey specialist company to do our member survey. So I've been speaking to some of those companies who, certainly a couple of them specialize in the member body space in doing member surveys. So I've had some really good calls on that. We've put an RFP, so those in the consultant world will know this, a request for proposals. And then Mark Young, who's the president-elect, who is chairing our strategy working group, he and I are going to be choosing a provider. Hopefully at the back end of next week, we're getting in the proposals. And the idea, we'll be talking with whoever we choose, but the idea is to sort of go out to the members in September, I think, at the moment. So really excited about that project. And then the other project I'm doing with Bob Bridger, who's our treasurer, is looking at the accounting practices we have. So this is, again, more internal facing, but we want to improve the way we do our financial management, how we sort of audit our financial management. And certainly one of the things I want to do a better job of is almost that project-based review, so we know we're spending on our money on the things that are our biggest priorities. So again, we've put a request for proposals out to I think 4 accounting firms. We'll get those proposals in the next couple of weeks. So those are sort of my 3 key things.
That's brilliant, because it just sort of really demonstrates just how much we are growing as an organization. And whilst it might not be sexy and cool, it's a lot of the stuff that's happened here, and a lot of the other stuff you're doing in the background is making sure that we've got the right building blocks within the organization to make sure we can grow easily and actually focus on members, which is fantastic. So,
Absolutely, yeah. And sorry, Barry, I'll mention one other thing which I should have mentioned earlier. Going back, is the other call I had last week was with Will Tutton, who's one of our charter members. He's an ex board member as well. He works in the shipping sector, and that's a sector where there aren't many human factors. There's human factors work going on, but not always called human factors. And he reached out to me because he's on the board of a member body, an institute in the marine sector, and he has a group, a committee he sits on that is focused on things that are human factors related. And we had a really good conversation around, well, how can we draw more links between those 2 organizations, and we focused on this idea of going, well, what outcome are we seeking in the shipping sector? What does success look like for us? Is it getting more chartered professionals in the shipping industry? And so Will's going to go off and go back and talk with his committee about that. But the reason I mention that is that it goes to this idea of, we are getting more and more focused on the value add stuff. But if you want to talk to me about the state of human factors in your sector, if you obviously we've got a lot of work going on in healthcare, defence, and transport as well. But if you're working in a different sector and you think there's more we could do, please drop me a line. You can reach me via LinkedIn or via email. And I'd love to hear from you.
brilliant. And to echo that if you think there is more that can be going on, do reach out. We are here for you as members. So thank you for taking the time to listen and watch what we've been doing today. Again, let us know your thoughts, comments, concerns, ideas, what sort of insights you'd like to know more about the Institute. If you've got any more questions about how the Institute works, mechanisms, again, that's what this bit is here for. Ben, if Pete, you've said people can reach out to contact you, how would they go about doing it?
LinkedIn message, or you can email me. It's b.peachey@ergonomics.org.uk.
Brilliant. And if you want to contact me, again, all over social media, including Threads now, interesting new insight into the world of social media, or email me at presidentergonomics.org.uk. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you with what we're doing in a couple of weeks' time.
Many thanks. Bye.